then they can release the offspring back on the island and the population can remain stable.
That's awesome. Wow.
So
That's
that
really
was
cool.
That was fun. But I remember I was sitting here and we were talking about it. I was like, yeah, tomorrow I leave for the Galapagos. It's going to be gnarly. It's going to suck. And then we had this amazing find. So it was really cool.
Now, the Galapagos is so protected that don't they make you like put fresh shoes on? Like you can't bring shoes that you wore somewhere else that might carry seeds?
Yep. We had to go to quarantine for 48 hours. Everything we brought with us had to go into a giant freezer. Yeah, freezer. And sit there for 2 days, and we kind of had to twiddle our thumbs just waiting, and then we got all our stuff back, got on the boats, and went out to that island.
So the giant freezer supposedly kills any sort of spores or anything. Wow.
It gets really cold, if I remember correctly, and they go, you go through everything. They go through your boots, you look for any seeds, you go through your underwear, like literally everything to see if you're bringing any contaminants in.
God, that's so fucking cool.
It is.
So the Galapagos is really the place where Darwin started formulating a lot of his theories of evolution, right?
With the finches and the tortoises.
Look at that crazy skeleton. What is that from?
Some kind of marine mammal, sea lion, possibly whale. It's hard to say.
They got beach there or something?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And then that's Fernandina. That's the Stark Island in the background, actually, where we found the tortoise.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's a big-ass island, man. It's to
big.
Find one tortoise, excuse me.
It's all good.
I have a hard time with that. I want to get lazy and just call them all turtles. Just got a shell. Fuck's the problem?
Yeah. Just swim better. So that was cool. It was crazy. It was very difficult and hot and, all those things and just so exciting.
Wow, that's amazing, man.
Yeah, that was fun.
So when you do have a discovery like this, that's got to open up the door for more funding, more research possibilities, more trips.
Hugely.
What do you want to do next?
Well, that's twofold, right? One is it doesn't necessarily open the door for me more, which is good. It doesn't need to. It opens the door for the species. And what I mean by that is when an animal's declared extinct, that's it. It's gone, right? Extinct means vanished, like no longer in existence. So when you find it back, that opens up the dollars for return efforts, management, blah, 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 blah. And that's what's going on currently for that particular species. It's great for me in the sense that it's like, oh, this guy is furthering his reputation of being able to find these things that other people aren't, which really just boils down to me being willing to embrace shittier conditions than I think a lot of other people are. But what's next for me? I mean, I take off for Africa, I think January 5th. And I'll be there for 5 weeks working on some missing sharks.
Missing sharks?
Yeah.
What kind of sharks?
There's 4 species that in the wild coast, which is like from Durban up to Mozambique, on the southeastern Africa, that haven't been seen in 30 years or more. And it's not necessarily that they're extinct so much as nobody looks for them. And, it's a very gray area of, are these animals still there or not? And so myself, this guy named Dave Ebert, he's the president of the North American Elasmobranch Society, like big shark guy, big other bio nerd like myself. We're teaming up and we're going down there to try and find some of these animals.
I was reading something recently about great whites in South Africa, that there's a massive decline.
Mm-hmm. Orcas. Orcas were killing white sharks in Mossel Bay, that area where, in Hans Bay, yeah. And I don't exactly remember the reason. I think they were eating their livers out of the white sharks. But
yeah, they like their liver, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why do they like their liver so much?
Minerals. Full of minerals, yeah. Because, your liver acts as the filter for the body, basically. And so it's pretty well known that big predators, orcas, leopards, lions, everything, they like to target the liver. Yeah. And it gives them lots of minerals that otherwise they can't get from flesh.
I was watching a documentary on wolves, and that was one of the ways that the alpha establishes itself, that when there's a kill, it's the first to eat the liver.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And there's a guy who was living with these wolves, and he was like tricking them that he was a wolf, and one of the ways he would do it was he would eat a liver in front of them. And so they're like, wow, This guy might be the shit. Yeah. And then the guy went away because he's a wolf expert. And he went away because there was a farmer that was having issues with wolves, and they were trying to figure out a way to get the wolves to leave his livestock alone. So what they did was they set up a speaker system. So they put these gigantic speakers up, and they started broadcasting these aggressive wolf howls to let this other wolf pack know that a new wolf pack had moved into the area. So this guy was on this project for several months, came back to the original wolf pack that he was like conning into thinking that he was, and the new alpha had taken over. And the new alpha was threatening him, and so he had a whimper, and he was like really in danger of being torn apart by a wolf, and on camera.
Oh,
so
wow.
he's inches away from this wolf, and it's baring its teeth, like, and you know,
Jesus.
I mean, he's with real wolves,
Right.
Right, and so this guy's like curled up in a fetal position and whimpering and putting his paw out like this, and this fucking wolf is baring its teeth just inches from him. Huge
getting
wolf,
goosebumps just hearing
150-pound wolf, like inches from him, just ready to tear him to shreds. Because
Where-
they kill each other all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. When
Where
there's
was
a
this? In
beta-
the U.S.?
No, it wasn't in the U.S. I don't remember where it was, but it was really weird. Like, this guy's life was so strange because he was for a long period of time when he was like running this research, was living with wolves. So he's with them. You know, he's a part of the pack.
Was
You
he?
know?
I got to ask you this, and don't answer it if it's uncomfortable, but I've, in my field, working with specialized experts a lot, like him, obviously that's a whole nother level. Mm-hmm. They start to take on characteristics of these animals, I've noticed. So like I worked with a guy who was a bear expert, right? And he spent his whole life with bears. And this man was basically a bear. Do you know what I mean? He was grumpy, he was cranky, he was big, he was hairy. Like every part of him seemed like a human bear. I'm wondering if this guy was like that. Did it seem to you like he had started to like kind of lose touch with social norms and he was starting to take on traits of a wolf?
That's a good question. It's hard to tell. Is this it? Yeah, this is the guy. So this guy, is this the guy?
Documentary from 2007-8 called The Wolf Man.
Yeah, I think this is it. Yeah. So
just part
so
of it.
they're like
Jesus.
the way they threaten each other. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
so he would have a kill, and he would drag it over, and he would eat the liver in front of them, and so by doing that, he would trick them into thinking he was the shit. See, he's got the liver.
Yeah,
And so
tell
they
me
come
that
over,
that guy doesn't express wolf characteristics.
Oh, yeah.
Like, look at his body language and everything. I know he's doing that intentionally for the animal, but to me, that guy looks like he thinks he's a wolf. Look at
Yeah.
that. I mean, that's insane.
How are the cameramen able to get this close and they're safe too?
Very good question. Yeah, look at this guy.
Jeez
The guy's
Louise.
out of his fucking mind.
Yeah, that's something
Like, bro,
else.
you're made out of Jello. You are literally a water balloon filled with Jello, and you're hanging around these super predators.
It's nuts.
I love wolves. They're one of my favorite animals on the planet. I just think they're so fascinating. And now that they've been reintroduced into the West, you know, I know. Look at that! Like, it's growling. The thing's kissing him to show that it's submissive. So he's eating the liver in front of it.
Have you ever been to the wolf sanctuary out here in Palmdale?
No, I heard it's awesome. No,
If you ever want to go, let me know.
I would love to.
It's incredible. It's you know, they don't do it for like the general public, but they rescue wolves and wolf dogs and rehabilitate them. And a lot of times they've been in fights and they've been, you know, come out of terrible places. And they've got a few animals that they're very closely related to full blood wild wolves. And you can go in and interact with them. You're not petting them. It's not a puppy. You know what I mean? They don't behave like a dog, but you can go in and have one come up and approach you and sniff you. And it's a pretty fantastic experience. It really
I'd
is.
like to go. Let's do it, man.
Let's do it.
I'm in.
I'll set it up.